But today, as well as taking a look at the New Balance Furon V5 and doing a review, we're also going to talk about why this is my most valued boot in my collection and how it's actually been worn by Sadio Mane himself. So remember to like the video, remember to be subscribed, and let's jump straight into it. So the upper on this is a Phantom Fit frame, which you can see running throughout the upper, and then that is covered by Hydro Skin. So the two materials together give you what I think is a very responsive upper. The way that it's built doesn't make it particularly soft, especially in the midfoot area, but that does lead to an increased amount of responsiveness. Genuinely very impressed for a speed boot at how responsive this is just from what is a mesh and synthetic base upper. It doesn't feel plasticky and it is fairly thin. Although I have seen several reviews describe this as an incredibly thin upper. I don't agree with that. I think that it is a reasonably thin upper that actually provides a very pingy barefoot sensation, but the upper itself has a reasonable amount of thickness to it. If you compare this to something like an X99 or even an X19.1, I don't believe that the upper is actually thinner on this, but that doesn't seem to be at the detriment of the barefoot touch or the pingy sensation, which we absolutely want from a speed boot. There's no real texture on the upper at all. It's not particularly slippy, but it is just a straightforward matte finish, and these Phantom Fit frame ribs don't really do much either. There's no problems here, but it's also not an improvement. You don't get anything special from it. You do have quite a large striking area that covers most of the boot because it does have a shallow lacing system, which is something that I don't particularly like because this is a speed boot. While the upper is quite responsive and quite impressive, it does need that lacing system to run deeper because in the forefoot, it's just not responsive enough. While the midfoot, very responsive, very nice, the forefoot can feel a little sloppy at times. And also to mention that this is a one-piece upper, and these little tabs here are actually only there to house the lace holes. The upper altogether is a one piece with two slightly different types of material, this inner piece here being almost neoprene-esque, and it does stretch out to allow you to get into the boot fairly easily, and that runs around this top collar area here. It's actually quite a clever design and a good way of getting a one-piece upper while not making it impossible for you to get them on your feet. If you are looking for a more old-style speed boot and you don't want to have to go and try and find something like an X99, this could be a really good option for you. If you're looking for an older vapor-style synthetic upper, it really has that kind of vibe and that kind of feel to me. So weight is an area that New Balance have struggled in the past, but they have done a really good job recently of taking a lot of weight out of the Tequila V2. So let's see how the V5 compares to the V4 on the Furon. So this clocks in at 221 grams. Now considering this is a speed boot, 221 grams is not great. I would expect this to definitely be lighter. It's not overly heavy, you're probably not going to complain about it on pitch, but it definitely needs to be lighter, and the V6 needs to take weight out of this boot. It is, however, a nice improvement from the Furon V4 with a few grams taken out. Sole plate, so let's talk about the traction. So the traction on this is actually pretty good if you're playing on a very nice FG surface. My issue with the traction comes in the fact that the studs themselves are pretty short. They're very well shaped, they've got a lot of studs in all the right positions, and there's a lot of emphasis on sprinting off the toe area. It's designed off a track spike, so you have all of these extra studs. They don't do a great deal, but this toe pick stud's good. All of these other studs that are positioned very nicely, they're a very aggressive shape, and they give you really good traction on a good FG surface. I just think on anything other than a very nice surface, even something that's not SG, just like a really, just on the edge of being a soft FG, there's not enough traction as the studs are just not long enough. I just want a little more aggression. The sole plate itself is a plastic outsole with nylon stiffening bars that run all the way through the sole plate, which gives you really nice stability in the heel and the midfoot, and it's actually quite a stiff sole plate. So if you're looking for something with that stiff rigidity, especially in the midfoot, this could be worth considering. But my favorite thing is actually the way that translates into the springback in the toe area. Again, like I say, designed off a sprinter spike, and it does a really great job of providing really good springback and a great bend point. Overall, that's very impressive. I just want longer studs. So, value for money. These are coming in at 210 euros, which puts them right in the ballpark of something like an Adidas X 19.1. It's around that price point, and it is a genuine competitor. My only question, which I always ask of New Balance boots, is are they a big enough name in the football boot industry to compete with an X 19.1 on that same playing field? If you put the average consumer versus a New Balance boot and an Adidas X boot, most of the time they're going to go for the Adidas. It doesn't matter if the New Balance is better, they're going to go for the Adidas because it's a bigger name. And New Balance need to be able to stand out a little bit, and possibly a slightly cheaper price point would help them do that. Is it bad value for money? No, it's on the market value, and I think boots are too expensive at the moment anyway, but it doesn't make these any worse value for money than any other top-end model, and if you want a top-end pair of football boots, this is the price that you pay. The upside is that if you are interested in a pair of New Balance Furons, because they are New Balance, they don't sell out or sell quite as quickly as things like Adidas, so you can generally find old colorways on sale at really good prices. So shop around and you might find yourself a bargain on an old colorway of the Furon V5. So looks wise, I'm not going to get into all the tiny details too much because I've already covered that in 2 other videos, which I will put links to just up here. But this is the New Balance Furon V5 Mane Maguum edition, which was limited to 405 pairs only. And if you notice just here, I have pair 001. So these are actually the boots that were used by New Balance and other companies for all of the press release photos for this particular boot. So not only are they super limited, 405 pairs, I also have number 1, which was the one that was used for all the press releases, but these have also been worn in press photos for press images by Sadio Mane himself. So this is obviously very cool. It means Mane has worn my boots. It means they've done a very cool tour of Senegal. Downsides being no box, because they were a promotional pair that I got from a company who'd been doing promo with them. But I did get the very cool string bag that goes along with the boots, and my boots are now better traveled than I am. So on feet, I think the Furon is a very good looking boot, especially in this Mane limited edition colorway with the white. Really, really clean. As I said before, the lockdown and responsiveness is good, but I would definitely like to see that lacing system come further down the boot. It just feels a little bit like it needs more lockdown, needs more responsiveness across more of my forefoot because it is so good up here. Width-wise, these probably are going to be okay for most people. I would compare them width-wise to something like a Vapor 12, which will still fit most people, but does have a fairly tight wrap across the boot. There is a wide fit version of this boot available direct from New Balance if you do have particularly wide feet, which is always good. Heel lockdown is good, although the heel liner itself can be a little bit slippy, so it is a boot that may give you blisters if you are prone to that while you break the boots in. The only other thing I think worth mentioning while the boot is on feet is that I do seem to think that some of the studs are a little unbalanced, maybe in terms of length, because I do tend to get stud pressure on this stud area here on both feet. Maybe not for you, but definitely something I would mention. So on the whole, this is a huge improvement from New Balance, from the V4 to the V5, which tends to be the modus operandi of New Balance at the moment. They are drastically improving every generation as it comes out, so I will be excited to see what happens with the V6. These are a genuine contender and certainly something you should consider if you are looking for a top-end speed boot in today's market, which I think is a real compliment to pay to a brand that hasn't always been in that upper echelon of boot manufacturers. And also, if Mane's worn your boots, you can definitely play like Mane. I can confirm that. I wouldn't lie to you. So I want you to drop down in the comments what your favourite boots in your collection are. Is it a super limited pair? Is it a pair that's been worn by a pro? Is it just an old pair that you really love? Let me know and we'll have a chat about it. Remember to like this video, remember to get subscribed to the channel. You can do that by clicking here. And also remember, you can check all of my content out on the Mane Maguum and those super cool design details by just clicking here. Well, that's all from BootWizard here today. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good one, and I'll see you soon. What's up guys, James here from BootWizard Boot Reviews. Enough talk about that funny game with the egg-shaped ball, because today we are jumping into